What's up, everybody? It's Matthew Lee with the Tao of Kung Fu, and today I wanted to talk about doing some hand conditioning for Eagle Claw, which is one of my favorite styles. Just something about Eagle Claw clicks with me, and you'll find that as you're going through all of these different styles, you'll find one that clicks with you if you haven't already. Just that you feel really that resonates with you a whole lot, and you just feel super close to it, and it just all makes sense. So for me, Monkey and Eagle Claw are two of these styles that just like make sense and work really well, and I can see their concepts and I love their conditioning and stuff like that. So that type of passion, when you find a style that really works well for you, that just makes sense and is a lot of fun, that type of passion makes a huge difference when it comes to training, because the training is always difficult and rigorous and it's blood, sweat, and tears. But if you're loving every second of it, then it takes a little bit of the pain out of it. Not a lot, but a little bit. So it's cool to find that kind of passion. The main thing I wanted to talk about today for the Eagle Claw was how to make the eagle fist, or the eagle shape for the hand, which is really similar. One of the major differences of Tiger Claw and Eagle Claw is that instead of having the gaps in between the fingers like the Tiger Claw has, I'll sneak in here. Instead of working it that way, we close the gaps and extend the fingers to where they're flat. So a lot of styles call this a half fist, where you've got the fingers closed, there's not any gap in between them, and there's no gap in between each finger. So they're not open this way, they're closed. And then the thumb is ready to grab. It's also ready to pull out of the way to hit. It's really close to a leopard paw, which is more like this. There's a little similar difference. Cool thing about it, here in San Francisco, we've got the Randall Museum, which is up on one of the hills, and they have a bird rescue program. So they actually have a golden eagle in there, and it had been a while since I'd seen a real live eagle, especially up close. This one was like I could have held it probably if I asked, but it was intimidating, so I didn't. But this is a medium-sized eagle, and it's a golden eagle. It's beautiful, but when I looked at its feet, I was shocked because, oh my gosh, it's the exact same shape. When I look at my hands now in the Eagle Claw form, I'm like, that's an Eagle Claw. That's what it actually looks like. So if you aren't close to a bird sanctuary or something like that, go online and look at what they look like in their rested state. That's something that's really important. And when you just see them not actively kind of trying to fish or hunt, but you see them just standing on something, look at their feet and you'll be amazed at the shape of the hand is very similar to what you're getting closer and closer if you're seeing that. Now, one of the things about the Eagle Claw is it's an active fist. And what I mean by that is that it is constantly tense, like the Tiger Claw that is constantly pulling back. And that's not necessarily how you're going to fight, because it always looks goofy to be like, oh, okay, here I come, I'm a Kung Fu guy and I'm going to fight you with Tiger Claw. You're probably going to fight with fists or open hands, one or the other. And not necessarily Tiger Claw. I mean, you might fight with Tiger Claw, I don't know. But Tiger Claw, when you're practicing, is a very active fist and or shape. And so you're constantly using dynamic tension and conditioning the hand. It's all about conditioning. That's what the most important part of the tiger claw shape is. And the eagle claw shape is the same. It's about, when you're in that eagle claw shape, you're using dynamic tension. So you're pulling back very strong with the back of the hand. And the thumb is very tense as well. So it's ready to open and grab. You're building that quick reflex to be able to go open-handed to suddenly grabbing all of a sudden and pinching under the muscles. So this isn't a grip exercise video, it's just hand, what you're doing with the initial hand. We'll do a grip exercise video here later on to develop the powerful force of the eagle claw so that you can be grabbing and pinching up under the muscle in the person and developing that real strong. One of the things that people neglect when they're doing their hand training, though, is the back side of the hand. They're always working on grip this way. But I'm an old rock climber, and I've been rock climbing on and off for maybe 25 years now. And so one of the biggest things with rock climbing is the hand conditioning. And I remember about 20 years ago or so when they came out with these exercise components that worked the back of the hand. Because what was happening in the sport was really frequently people are blowing out the tendons on their fingers because they're just straining too much as they're trying to pull. And they overdevelop the pull, and what happens is the backside blows out and it just can't handle the amount of force because it's not getting any conditioning, it's all this conditioning. And so one of my buddies who was a world-class climber was one of the first guys that got into all of this type of training, and he could do incredible stuff like hanging from one knuckle with his arm at a 90-degree angle, holding his entire body weight up off the ground, and he would just sit like that and be in the air for a solid minute. It was unbelievable. I've attempted it, and in 20 years, I can't even come close. So he might have been a little superhuman with that. There's a group called Metolius that makes a lot of climbing equipment that's a really great brand, and years ago, they came out, they modified a squeeze ball that had like 5 rubber bands on them with loops on the end, and you put your fingers in each of the loops. So you could use the squeeze ball this way, but then you could open up and work the back of the hand by stretching the rubber bands outwards. That way you're doing the yin-yang process on the hands. This happens pretty commonly to athletes too. You see it a lot of time in the leg when you've got the hamstrings versus the quadriceps. So that might be a new. The hamstrings are basically like a bicep on the back of your leg. They're 2 muscles. The quadriceps are 4, so it's 2 to 4. And a lot of people train the quadriceps, but not the hamstrings. So what happens is these get overstrung, and during heavy athletic performance, they'll explode really hard and make fast, explosive, tense movement. The hamstrings on the backside can't counteract it, and they end up tearing, and people pull a hamstring. That same thing though happens on a smaller scale in the hand when you're really putting a lot of force into your hand, and this side is much more developed than this side. The back side's going to break. So it's really important to be focusing on that back side. So you can get the Metolius ball. My favorite one is this stuff called Power Putty. That comes in a little gray silver fist, and it's just like squeeze gel stuff, and it comes in different I'm looking for sponsorship if you can't tell. If Adidas isn't going to sponsor me soon, I need Metolius or Power Putty to jump on. So But the power putty is really good because you can dig your fingers into it and then open them up that way and work the back. So until you get something like that, you can also just flick the hands open and tense them and wear the back of the hand out to where they're strong. This helps with the training the fast twitch muscles anyways. And so it's really good. You can do slow and really burn them out, and then you can do fast and do intervals of each. But even in the actual eagle claw fist, you're pulling back so that you're getting those rope-like sinews in the tendons and you're working. When you're talking about grip for the eagle claw, the weak part of the grip is always the thumb. So it's important to start doing your fingertip push-ups and focusing on getting the weight into the thumb as early as you can so that you're taking fingers off and you're pressing that thumb to where that thumb is going to be developing good strength. And that's going to start giving you some good strength. To help develop that thumb, I use like tennis balls. And I put a tennis ball down and then put my hand over it so I can put a little bit of weight into the tennis ball and I can control how much I'm putting into my thumb. It also helps me keep that nice rounded, arched, strong structure in there. When you first start out doing fingertip push-ups, a lot of times your fingers will bow out this way, which isn't necessarily bad, but you want to develop the strength to be able to grip. So you're actually gripping into the ground as you're doing these. Another trick that I learned as a rock climber is a lot of times people think of these three fingers as being the strong power fingers for grip. So when you grip, you're pressing with these. And they're correct, actually. Those are the strong fingers, but the ring finger is also strong, especially when it works together with the middle finger. That's why if you think of bowling, you bowl with these three fingers. This finger isn't used in bowling, it's these three, right? And so, as a rock climber, a lot of times you'll use these two fingers to hold yourself in place. You want to get to where you're developing your fingertip push-ups several different ways. The diversity is what creates a lot of strength and hand conditioning. So when you're doing these, you want to do the bowling grip, and you want to have the little finger and the ring finger off the ground. Ring finger, little finger and index finger off the ground. I'll learn my finger names. You want to do the claw, right? You want to do those three fingers. You want to do the index finger and the thumb by themselves. And you want to do the middle finger and the thumb by themselves. The difficult part of this is you probably can't do all that in one day and give them all a good workout because all of them use the thumb, and the thumb is the weakest one of those. So you kind of have to spread that workout out and build it up gradually. As you're doing your eagle claw training, you can be working on pulling those fingers back. So you kind of start by pulling them back and then keep that tension in the back of them as you flatten the fist out. And that gives you that good rope-like sinew in the back of the hands with those tendons. And you, as you're doing your punching and everything like that, you're working that hand conditioning. So that's a good start for the eagle claw.